welcome to yet another dazzling episode of Z Connect with your favorite host, Priya. Well, this episode is particularly dazzling, a massive celebration at an iconic location. The tallest building in the world hosted a multi-talented personality. And enough talking, see it for yourself. Kicha sir, welcome to Z Connect.
Thank you.
I'll say it in a different language, which is not familiar to me, but it is familiar to you, of course. So, Nimmanu Z Connectige Swagati Suttide. Did I say it correct?
Kannada matarsidde.
Took me some practice, but I got it.
It's very sweet of you. Very kind. Very kind. That's very sweet.
Welcome to Dubai, and we are at the top Burj Khalifa. I'm sure it feels great. Yeah?
Yeah. Perspectives. I like it down there.
Yeah?
I like it down there.
Okay.
Because it's nice to look at the building from a distance than be in the building. But I feel that this is one of the most beautiful structures. It is not only tall, I love the way it is designed. You know, it's designed so beautifully. And it's wonderful to see it from any part of Dubai, wherever it's seen. So I think I love it down there to watch this.
Well, that's a great perspective.
Yes, ma'am.
Each to his own. All right, so let's talk a little bit about you now. So, I don't know, I don't even think I can count on my fingers. You're an actor, singer, producer, director, screenwriter, TV show host. Have you left anything for your peers?
Nothing like that. I mean, the first thing that I started off my career, I just wanted to be a hero, an actor, and just wanted one house full. That's how we all started. And everything else has been a blessing and gifts which time offered, and I've been grabbing everything and going on, and nothing of the sort that, I wanted my hands into everything. Just whenever it came, I just tried. I didn't let go of anything, and I think we all should try what we want to do.
So 25 years in the industry, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So out of all these things that you've done, singing, acting, directing, producing, which one is your favorite?
Everything is my life.
Yeah.
Everything is a part of my life. I think cinema is also a part of my life. So I guess I hold my life as a priority. I think that needs to be crafted and looked after well, and made sure that you don't have unnecessary things attached to it where you regret someday. Yeah, I have a life. It'll go on even after cinemas. So God's grace, we find something else new to do, and that will be my life for them.
Right. So let's talk about Vikrant Rona. It was supposed to be called Phantom at one point, and then it changed. Yes. Why was that?
Vikrant Rona got so popular after the start because I think it was my mistake also. I posted a picture in the first day of the shoot when we started Phantom, and I said Vikrant Rona reporting to duty. I just put half my face with a moustache, and that became so viral. And that day I even had told my producer, I said, just go register this title any which ways. Keep this is a good one. So it went on for many, many, many months, and more than that, Vikrant Rona is coming. Vikrant Rona is the name of the character, and definitely Phantom, there's a reason why we kept that. That's not going to be erased at all. Okay. Content-wise, there is something to do with that word called Phantom. Okay. Vikrant Rona had a different sounding. It sounded huge, and it has a sound, Vikrant Rona. So it became like that in every audiences, when the hashtag and everything is Vikrant Rona, Vikrant Rona. Though it was Phantom down, there would be hashtag Vikrant Rona.
So it made sense to have the...
Yeah, see, I guess, by the end of the day, we are only trying to sell what they want to see and hear, right? True. It's not forced. Nothing can be forced here. We gave what they want, and anyway, it is not borrowed again. It is from the same film, same character. So we did it. It was luckily we had registered the title in every language. Yeah. So we got it.
So everyone's excited for the launch, of course, and I believe there's a 2,000 feet cutout which is to be displayed.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us more about it.
Just an exciting thing now. I mean, I guess even tomorrow, as and when we stand there, I think even we'll be missing a heartbeat there, trying to see, because it's not just the display on Burj Khalifa. There's a lot of effort, man. There's a lot of effort to do this film, and not only that, we shoot the film horizontally. And even when, if you want me to bring that film into your Insta story, we have to bring it this way, and 60% of the screen is cut off, as you know. Correct. Now Burj Khalifa is half your mobile phone and gets thinner as it goes on top. Correct. Now we are cutting down the screen. So bringing something in this sized building to this length is a task. Actually, it's a huge task, and we have to center everything. It's a new technicality we need to adapt. So I think the whole team has been doing all that, and today, finally, when we see how it is placed in the building, we feel good, and that hugeness is what we all wanted to see. It's our film by the end of the day. It's not just a show that this is what we want to do.
Yeah.
How should it matter whether it's 2,000 or 2 feet cut out? It doesn't really matter to me. We just want to tell this story. So this is what we've done. So just see it. So let's see how it goes from
So
there.
can everyone expect to see it on the big screen?
Very soon, man.
Yeah.
Very soon, and I think somewhere around August, September, the film should be ready for release. I hope.
Okay.
Because a lot of posts is there, and this film is going into 3D also.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's a post 3D we are doing, but there's a lot of this film requires a 3D actually, so
Yeah.
we are doing that also. So it will take some time.
Lovely. Okay, great. Before we close, and we are pressed for time, but I want to do this very quick rapid fire
right?
with you. So we'll just keep it very, very quick. All right. Okay, so if you had to remake a Bachchan film, which one would it be?
Satya Pe Satya.
Satya Pe Satya. My favorite as well. Your favorite co-star from Bollywood, male, female, anyone?
Kajol.
Okay. Your reaction when someone compares you to Kamal Haasan?
Not so great, because I think comparison itself is bad. Each one has got their own. You don't need to praise somebody even by comparing, neither put down someone by comparing. I think we are what we are. We look up to him though. We definitely do. We look up to him though. He's a great legend and fantastic actor, no doubt, undoubtedly.
Your reaction when Rajnikant called to wish you for your birthday?
It was like Burj Khalifa calling me. So, the effort it has to take to make a call to a landline somewhere down there. That's the feeling I had. But yeah, I said, hey, I can see you. He was like, yeah, where are you? Wherever you are,
Yeah.
I just wanted to wish you. It was like that for me. So I guess he's a, you know what he is.
Legend. Yeah.
No, he's beyond.
That.
I don't know. If you fall short of word to explain about one man, that is him.
Yeah.
He calls me. That was Oscar.
The feeling must be something else.
Oscar, beyond Oscar.
You can't even explain it in words, I know.
Just see, we are talking about it now.
Yeah.
It has reached you that he
Yeah.
called me. That's the way it is.
Before closing, would you sing a few lines for us?
Which
Any
one?
song? Anything you like.
Jara tuttu anna tinnoke bogase neeru kudiyoke tundu batte saaku nanna mana mucchoke angayakala jaga saaku hayagiroke. That's a song from my favorite hero. So,
Okay. Thank you so much, and very nice to meet you. You're very humble, very down to earth, and may God bless you, and
Thank you.
may you do well in your future projects as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And with that, it's time for a short break, but we are back for a quick bite with Tasneem right after. Welcome back, and let's head straight into Swat Se Swagat to see what Tasneem is up to.
Welcome back to Swat Se Swagat Hai, and today I have friends coming over, and that's why I wanted to make something that they're gonna really relish, but at the same time it's gonna be healthy because they are health freaks, and it's gonna be wholesome and filling. So today I have salmon. Of course, everyone out there who eats healthy, who eats fish, knows salmon is the way to go. And a lot of people, including myself, I'm not the biggest fan of the strong flavor of salmon, and I know there are a lot of other people out there, and this is literally the only recipe of salmon I ever eat. So let's get along and you'll see how I mask the flavor of salmon really, really well. So first, we are gonna start with grabbing a nice large tomato. You can either have one big tomato or you can use a bunch of tiny, those little cherry tomatoes, a bunch of them. I'm just gonna use a nice big one because, of course, when guests are coming, you wanna reduce the workload as much as possible because you have 100 other things to be doing. So I'm just gonna slice the tomatoes up. Make sure to slice them slightly thicker because this will be going into the oven and you don't wanna sort of end up with tomato ke chilke by the time they come out. All right. And then we're gonna prep our asparagus. So here I have baby asparagus. You can preferably use baby asparagus if you have the full-grown adult asparagus. You can definitely use that, but I would recommend baby because it cooks very quickly and it doesn't have those little shreds in them. So if your asparagus is babier than this one, you don't need to cut the edges off, but if it's this size, just want to give it a quick chop on the bottom to take out any dead roots. All right, and now that we have our asparagus prepped up, I am gonna cut my lemon next. We're gonna need about half a lemon or even lesser. So just chop it up, we just need to squeeze it anyways. All right, there we go. Super simple. Next, grab yourself some foil. And now what we're gonna do is, so you know, growing up, I always had this confusion, and I know a lot of adults also have this confusion about which side of the foil is actually the right side. The shiny side always stays inside, and the dull side stays outside, so that it can reflect all the heat back in and it cooks well. All right, so here is my beautiful salmon, and to that I will just simply season it up to begin with. Sea salt and some freshly crushed black pepper. Now I love black pepper, so I'm gonna go a little extra on it, but it really depends on how much you like. And this is the magic ingredient which changes everything in this recipe, and that is pesto. So we're gonna be using basil pesto. I would recommend you to use the dark colored pesto for this specific recipe. When it comes to other recipes, pastas for example, I like using the light colored pesto because it has a slighter flavor. But the dark color has a very strong flavor, and that is exactly what is going to get rid of that smell and that really strong, overwhelming flavor of salmon, which I personally big no. All right, so I'm just going to give this a nice mix. Now, if you want to make your pesto at home, go for it. That is literally the best that you could be doing. But again, this is guest friendly when you are low on time. So I just have my store-bought dark green pesto. All right, so I'm gonna put a nice whole amount on it because the more you dislike the flavor of salmon, the more pesto goes on there. And the amount of pesto on mine right now tells you a lot about my preferences. Don't worry if it's falling off the sides because the foil, we're gonna wrap it around and it will really hold all the pesto back together. All right, a nice slosh we have there. All right, next I will go ahead and add my tomato slices. Might probably just half this one actually. There we go. And now the asparagus. I'm just going to lay this straight on top and it will cook and come out beautifully. All right, and this is where our lemon comes in play. And this is another massive flavor masker. And we just add a whole lot of lemon up there. I generally don't like too much lemon, but this recipe, feel free to go all out. All right, that is that. All right, now we're just gonna fold our foil in. And now you wanna make sure that when you fold your foil, it completely encapsulates the fish, but at the same time, you don't want to have it really stuck tight to the fish because you need to allow for some steam. And when that steam collects in there, it's going to cook the fish. So I'm just going to give it a little extra fold on the sides so that the steam doesn't escape. But I'm going to give it enough leeway on the top for the steam to actually build up and stay in there and not kind of just explode our foil into bits. There we go, our little envelope of omega-3 and healthy fats is ready. And this goes into the oven for about 20 minutes, or unless you can really smell the fish being cooked, I think you'll figure it out. Let's go put this in the oven. And look at this fish. Oh, I can already smell how beautiful this is. You can't smell the salmon at all. It's just pesto and these fresh vegetables, delicious. Okay, so I'm gonna go cater to my guests coming very soon, and I hope you guys try this recipe for your guests, for yourselves. Stay healthy, stay fit, This dish is great for your hair, for your skin, for your nails. So go ahead, give yourself that beauty treatment from within this time. Enjoy your meal and I will see you next time. For our baked salmon, I will start with slicing tomatoes into relatively thick slices. Next, I will chop off the bottom of the asparagus and prepare it for use. Then, I will slice a lemon and keep it aside to use later. Next, place a layer of foil, place the fish on the foil, and season with sea salt and freshly crushed black pepper. Next, layer a nice thick coating of basil pesto on top of the fish. On top of that, add the slices of tomatoes and then the asparagus. Finally, drizzle a nice big squeeze of freshly squeezed lemon juice and seal the foil from all sides, leaving a little bit for steam expansion. Bake this in a preheated oven for about 20 to 25 minutes or until you can smell the fish has cooked through. Enjoy your healthy fats in the most delicious of forms.
Welcome back. Dubai played host to the 13th edition of the Emirates Festival of Literature, one of the world's largest literary festivals. This is also the Arab world's largest celebration of the written and spoken word. The festival promotes books, reading, and richness of words in all its forms with over 205 authors across 38 nationalities. Ibtisam, you are the vice principal of a nursery. So did you always want to be an educator?
Since I was in high school, I used to volunteer in the preschool classes to read stories to the children in the class. I think it was from there I knew I was going to be something in education.
How did it come to you about being a writer? Did you always want to do it? Were you inspired by something or someone?
So being a teacher, I always knew that I wanted to write a story, but I always knew that when I did it, I wanted it to have a strong educational message. And it was in March when I started to feel things are changing and, you know, there's a lot of emotion, of sadness, of what's happening, confusion. And it got me thinking, if me as an adult, as a teacher is feeling this, what about our youngsters? So I wanted to address health issues, but not in a direct way, as I wanted my book also to be timeless. You can always read it, even like once this COVID is gone, you can always pick up, can I go out now and read it?
It will always be relevant.
Yes, it will always be relevant.
So any message you want to give out to young readers?
Always instill a reading culture, get children interested in books, because books tell a story, and in every story there is a message, an educational message. So yes, it's important to instill reading to young children. If you enjoy it, the children enjoy it. You have to be as enthusiastic.
Thank you so much, Ibtisam. It's been lovely talking to you.
And thank you so much for having me here today.
Savni, tell us, where are you based? You stay in the US, but you belong to Pune, right?
I was actually brought up in the States. I was born and raised in New Jersey, and I lived in the UK for a little while when I did my master's, which was in art history. Actually, my first career before I started writing was in the art world. And that's actually what took me to India. So I lived in Mumbai for about 7 years.
Tell us about your nomination for the Booker Prize. How did the shortlist happen?
Yeah, Burnt Sugar is my debut novel, and it was a complete shock. Basically, my agent and my editor in the UK, they called me with the news a few days before the announcement was made. and I couldn't believe it. It's been a real blessing though, because it's a pandemic year and it's very different, especially for new writers, to reach their audiences, particularly because we're not doing many festivals like this one. So the Booker actually gave an amazing platform to my book where it reached a lot more readers than it would have.
Any message going out to young writers?
I would say to anybody who's an aspiring writer that keep writing. The thing about publishing is it's a kind of complicated, long process. It can take many years. But at the end of the day, the process of writing is really the most important thing. So I think sticking with the process is really what keeps you going, and it's the thing that's going to take you from book to book. It's the everyday, sitting down at your desk, facing your laptop, facing the blank page. To me, that's really what writing is about.
Thank you so much, Avni. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Sharif, you're a doctor. You studied medicine, right? Essentially dental and oral surgery. So how did writing come about?
Well, I'm a dentist by degree, but I made the career shift because I was passionate about journalism and media and self-development, and in psychology in specific. So I studied 2 masters, actually one in human resources and one in positive psychology, applied positive psychology. So I found that I have a unique way with my readers to deliver the ideas I want to express, especially that I'm also an editorial cartoonist. So my books are full of cartoons and funny examples, and it's not very complicated or academic or something like this. So this made me a unique in a unique situation. You know, I'm a cartoonist and self-development author and a dentist by degree.
So Sharif, let's speak a little bit about your cartoons. Being a cartoonist and seeing the current political scenario, aren't you ever afraid that your cartoons might depict something that may be politically incorrect?
It's a risky job, you know, because humor is some kind of, it has to offend, minorly offend something, you know. If you are making a joke about something, this thing will be not happy, you know. So whatever you are drawing about, some people may feel that this is not what should be said or something like this. But this is humor, you know, like this is sarcasm, this is how it works. But at the same time, I put my own red lines. So yeah, it's as a professional cartoonist, this is my daily job. I draw cartoons every single day. So I have to know my boundaries that I should not cross, or to say what I want to say without actually saying it, you know. So we have our tools to express ourselves and be in a safe position at the same time.
So Sharif, tell us, why is everyone an idiot?
Actually, this is the title of my first book, Why People Around You Are Stupid, to the literal translation. In this book, I was telling that in social experiments, they found that when they asked people to evaluate their performance, they found that most people consider themselves above average, which is statistically impossible, you know. So the first thing to do is don't assume that you are smarter than everyone. This is an illusion. Each one has his own strength. If you are imitating him, you will not be as successful as him. So at some point you can find what are the factors that made him successful and try to find your own way.
Thank you so much, Sharif. It's been so much fun talking to you.
Thank you so much.
Hi, Simar. Welcome to Z Connect. So, Simar, tell us about your writing. You write for kids, right?
I'm a fine artist and illustrator for children's book. Recently, I wrote 2 books in Arabic for children. One was for kids around 5 to 7 years old, and the other one was a silent book. Silent book is a book without word. It's a wordless book, and you can read it through the images. So I did it, and it's called Hikayat Khayt in 2020 with a publisher house in Lebanon. And the first one that I wrote and illustrated, it was on 2017 with Dar Kalimat in Sharjah.
Any message going out to young writers?
Just to keep on working, dreaming, being creative, and most important, to dream.
Thank you so much, Simar.
Thank you so much.
And with that, we bring this episode of Z Connect to a close. I hope you all enjoyed it. And please keep sending us your feedback and your thoughts on our social media handles. I look forward to seeing you next week. Until then, take care, stay safe, stay healthy. This is me, Priya, signing off.